Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. Welcome back to another video, and as promised today I'm going to be giving some tips or top tips with regards to the Army Assessment Centre. So this video is for an individual who is considering applying for the Army or has applied to join the Army and is waiting for their assessment centre date, or has their assessment centre date and it is quickly approaching. So this is for you. I've got a list of about 6 or 7 tips that I think will stand you in good stead, help you out. Some of it might seem fairly straightforward, self-explanatory. Others, maybe not so much. Maybe something that you actually, I may say something in today's video that you never actually occurred to you. So hopefully you get some benefit from this. So let's get straight into it, shall we? Okay then, so the assessment centre. Tip number 1, plan your travel. Now you're going to get given an option. You can either travel by train or by car. And by car, that's either you driving yourself down to the assessment centre or somebody taking you to the assessment centre, dropping you off and then collecting you once it's completed. Now my advice to you is, regardless of which mode of transport you choose, plan your route accordingly. The reason being, upon arrival at the assessment centre, after you have been processed and all your administrative stuff, that was a mouthful, after all that has been done, you've handed across your driving licence, your passport, your identification, your GCSE results. You will then be taken for an evening meal, and then you'll be expected, as I was, to sit down and do the Army cognitive test or the BARB test. Now I don't know if that was just for my particular event or whether that is going to be the same across the board from here on in. However, it could happen to you. It will more than likely happen to you, and so it's best on your route down to try and obviously eat. Make sure that you're not hungry when you arrive. Stay hydrated as best you can. They will provide you with a bottle of water when you arrive there, and try and rest. If you've, like for me, my train journey, I went by train and it was hours. It took hours, multiple changeovers here, there and everywhere. And by the end of it, by the time I arrived at the actual centre itself, I was shattered and I was ready for, a cup of tea and a lie down. So if you can, get some sleep on the train or in the car, all right, whoever, if you're getting a lift. Don't sleep in the car if you're driving. You don't want to do that. Now I appreciate trains aren't the most comfiest of places. They're cramped, they're hot, they're not all that nice. So it is going to be difficult. So if you can't get sleep on the train, just try and make sure you get the best night's sleep possible the night before. Also, point to note, if you are going down by car, be it driving or getting dropped off, you will still need to report to the train station like everybody else. You will then be bussed to the camp where the assessment is to be carried out. If you are that's if you're getting dropped off. If you are driving, you will not be allowed to take your car onto camp. I don't know why. I'm sure it could be organised in advance for some kind of vehicle pass to be issued. I didn't ask the question. After all, I didn't drive, so I didn't need to. As I understand it, there is a car park close by to the camp, and that's where you will have to park. And I believe it's a public car park, so you'll have to pay for that as well. Staying on the subject of actually paying for anything, your train tickets are free. Okay, so when I'm saying plan your journey in advance, what you will need to do is go to a station close to your home and redeem those tickets through one of those, it's like a hole in the wall, but it produces train tickets. All right, you will be emailed a code. Okay, you can't redeem that code on the train with the ticket collector for reasons. I don't know why. That's just how it was explained to me. So what I had to do is I had to drive 25 minutes out my way to the nearest city station that provided this service. Okay, because my local train station, it's a very small station. It gets minimal rail traffic, so it's deemed not necessary to have one of those machines. It's quite annoying. Bear that in mind. If your station, what you're setting off from, doesn't have one of those ticket booths, you're going to struggle. Make sure you get your tickets before you travel. That's tip 1. done. Top tip number 2 then is arrive with a good attitude. Now, I think this should go without saying, but believe it or not, in my at my event, there were lads, admittedly there were some younger lads that, but they seem to take it as a joke, and it's all right having a happy-go-lucky laid-back approach to certain things, but at the end of the day, this is a 24-hour interview and you need to conduct yourself accordingly. You're being watched all the time. Don't let anything slip. Don't let your standards slip. Be polite, be courteous, do as you're told. It's very, very simple. Listen carefully to the instructions that you're being given, okay? Because they tend to get a little bit annoyed if they have to repeat themselves more than once or twice, all right? So bear that in mind. Go with a good attitude, a good positive attitude, all right? And I'm sure you'll be fine and you'll succeed. To go alongside that then, remember to pay the correct compliments to the people that are there, i.e. the training team and the medical staff. We were instructed upon arrival to refer to everybody as staff. If you do that, you can't really go wrong. But there are a few people there in military uniform that are officers, all right? So it might be worth just revising badges of rank in the British Army. So if you see one of these officers walk past you, you recognise, you need to say, oh, that's a small crown on his chest. He must be a major, therefore I shall address him as sir, okay? I think that will go a long way, and it probably will, and it will impress them, definitely impress them, because you've actually taken the time to do a bit of research into the actual rank structure of the army, okay? I was interviewed by, I believe, a civilian. She was in civilian clothing, so I just referred to her as Ma'am. It's just, it's just standard stuff. She was my interviewer, so I wanted to sound professional and respectful, okay? That's tip number 2, good attitude. So tip number 3 then, kind of going alongside tip number 2 in regards to the revision of the badges of rank. That's not necessary, by the way, but it's just a little bit extra for you to do if you want to stand out. Nobody's going to penalise you for not knowing the ranks. At the end of the day, you can just call them staff. But what you will need to revise 100% are the core values of the British Army, and that is broken down into a mnemonic of C drills. That is courage, that is, I'm going to have to spell now. So C, courage, D, discipline, R, respect for others, I, integrity, L, loyalty, and S, selfless commitment. You will need to know those because you will be asked in your final interview. And you don't want to be that person that has a brain fart when that question is posed to you, because it is bread and butter stuff, all right? You want to join the British Army, you need to know their core values. Alongside the core values, you need to know the values and the standards. That's literally 3 words you need to know alongside the C drills, okay? So that's 9 in total, it's not a lot. And they are lawful, appropriate, and totally professional, or professional. They're not gonna penalise you for not saying totally, okay? So remember those. Lawful, appropriate, professional. Top tip number 4. Now, I didn't do the fitness tests on the day because of the weather. It was just too hot. I subsequently have now got a date confirmed to go and return to the assessment centre for my fitness, which is in a couple of weeks' time. So thumbs up for that. Great news. However, I would say the majority of the time the fitness will be conducted during the same event, all right? So in the morning when you get marched across to breakfast, my personal tip to you, you don't have to, it's personal preference at the end of the day, but my personal tip to you is to eat a light breakfast. If you have a fry up and all the bits and pieces that come with a fry up and a cup of coffee and all that sort of stuff, because that's maybe what you normally have, that's fine. You might be fine with that. But in my opinion, if you put food and water and all that stuff, it's fuel, okay? If you put crap fuel into your car or into your body, you're going to get crap out at the end of the day. So my tip to you is to eat light. I had a bowl of porridge and 2 rounds of toast and a couple of glasses of juice, and I was fine. That actually filled me up all the way up until lunchtime when we were given a baguette, like a cheese or ham baguette. That's all you got, with a packet of crisps. But yeah, so it's that, for me anyway, porridge and 2 rounds of toast was more than enough, and I think it gives you enough energy to conduct those fitness tests. You don't want to get bogged down and feel sluggish because you've got shit food, excuse my language, in your system. Again, with the drinking side as well, I don't mean so much of like alcohol. You won't be allowed alcohol when you're down there at all. That's a red flag. You will go if you're caught, or if you attend and you're suspected of drinking on the way down. That's it. Okay, but that should go without saying. But in terms of just normal drinking of fluids, try and stay as clean as you can. So water and juice, those sort of things. I tend to avoid the hot caffeinated drinks like tea and coffee for the simple reason you're going to have an ECG scan at your medical. Okay, and caffeine, it affects your heart rate and your pulse rate and stuff like that. It speeds it up. Okay, that's what caffeine does, and it perks you up obviously. So it might be great for a fitness test. A bit of caffeine beforehand, great, but a great motivator. It's no different to pre-workout before the gym. However, you might get a dodgy reading on your ECG, so just bear that in mind. I would stick to just clean food, clean drinks, okay? That's tip number, I've lost my number here, 4. That was tip 4, I hope. So tip number 5 then is get used to waking up early. You will have a bedtime when you get down there, 10 o'clock at night. The lights will go out and you will be expected to be in bed. The reason for that is because you're going to be up at the crack of dawn, 0600 or 6 a.m. So I think the best thing that you can do, if you're used to maybe waking up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, or whether you're a shift worker that maybe wakes up and does nights or something like that and sleeps during the day, try and get yourself into a sleeping pattern where you're waking up a week before. That's all it takes, just a week before your assessment. Wake up naturally, or with an alarm, but naturally, you know what I mean, at like 5:30 in the morning. Get your body accustomed to that. Maybe drink some water before you go to bed that night. You'll be hydrated when you wake up. You'll find it a lot easier to open your eyes and get your backside out of your bed. So if you do that on the morning of the assessment, when it comes round, you'll be fine. You'll be able to get up, you'll be able to get showered, have a shave, brush your teeth, and you'll be ready for the day. You might find you'll be up early anyway, and you might not sleep very well because of nerves. Completely get that. But if you are relatively calm and you're not particularly nervous about the whole event, taking it in your stride, I still recommend training your body a week beforehand just to get up a little bit earlier than what you've been used to, so it's not so much of a shock to the system when it actually happens. Top tip number 6. This is something that I wish I wish I did. I actually did it, but I was given incorrect information. So that's just ring up your candidate support manager at the careers office and confirm prior to you going down if you need a suit for your interview or some smart clothing for your interview. The reason being, I took a suit, a handful of other lads took a suit. I would say out of the 26 people or so that were there, I would say at least half had suits, half didn't. They turned up in sports kit, tracksuit bottoms, okay, and that was fine, because as soon as we arrived at the camp, the first thing that we were told by a member of the staff was, well done for bringing suits, but you'll not need them. You'll be doing your interviews in your sports kit. So I got a little bit miffed with that, because I've been carting this suit all the way across England just to find out that it was a waste of time. Backtracking slightly, the week prior to that, like on the Wednesday, this was on the Monday upon arrival, so the Wednesday before that, I rang up the careers office, I spoke to an individual in the careers office and asked the question, do I need a suit? Do I need smart clothing? Because the joining instructions, there's nothing on there to say that that's necessary, and the response I got was, yes, take it, definitely. Okay, so you may get that response as well. But all I'm saying is just double check, because they may turn around and say no, they're doing interviews in your sports kit, and if that's the case, then you can travel a lot lighter. In essence, you just let a little hold all and you're squared away. So the next tip then, I think we're on number 7 now, is to check, double check, triple check, quadruple check, check all your documents before you leave your house. Your ID, your educational stuff. Make sure you've got what you need. When you're packing your bag, have a tick list. Make sure you've got enough socks, make sure you've got enough pants, make sure you've got enough t-shirts, etc, etc, to last you for that 24-hour period. Ensure you've got flip-flops for your shower, because that's a big thing for the army. You wear your flip-flops because it's a communal shower. It was where we were, and you're going to be in there with a lot of other lads, and you know, you don't want to be standing if they've got some minging foot infection. You're going to be standing on that, aren't you? So bring your flip-flops. Double check all your kit, all your docs, because you don't want to get down there and realise that you've forgotten your passport because it's on your kitchen table. All right, just please double check. And last but not least, I mean, this isn't an exhaustive list. There are probably other things that I just couldn't think of them at this time. Is revise for your maths. If you've not got A to C or proof of A to C in maths and English, you will have to sit a numeracy and literacy test. As I never had to do that because I had proof of qualifications. But as I understand it, it was relatively straightforward. It was just a basic maths and English test. But a little bit of revision won't hurt you. Same can be said for the cognitive test or the BARB test. There is a link on the Army website, the official Army website, that would take you to the cognitive test where you can practice. It's split into five sections, and online you can do 10 questions from each section, and it gives you your score afterwards, so you know if you're doing the thing right. Practice that. That score matters, all right? If you go in there thinking, well, it's easy, I don't need to revise it, X, Y, and Z, you might get a lower score than what you anticipated, which is only going to disappoint you, especially if you don't get the grade or the mark required for your desired trade. Alongside the cognitive test, like I did, I had to do the TST, the Technical Selections Test. That is a more difficult GCSE maths exam. I'm going to make a separate video about that because there's a lot of false information online about the TST that had me worried going down there. The stuff I was looking at made it seem like I needed a degree in maths and I should be working for sodding NASA. All right, it's not like that. It's challenging. It can be quite difficult if you don't revise, but it's not impossible. I'm making a separate video on that, so I'm not going to touch on it too much. Only BBC Bite Size, AQA online revision book from Amazon, they will stand you in good stead. A couple of weeks prior to your assessment, if you know you're going to do a TST, get one of those, invest in it, because at the end of the day, it's your career. This is what you're going there for. You're going for a career in the army or to get your trade to stand you in good stead for a future career outside of the army, all right? Don't toss it off. Don't pay it lip service. Take it seriously. I got a little bit serious there, didn't I, with those top tips? But I was serious because I think it's a serious subject, and I'm quite passionate about it. I think it's important, all right. And if you are 100% focused on becoming a soldier in the British Army, in whatever trade or capacity that they offer, you want to approach it and give it 100% effort, because that's what they're looking for. That's in essence a soldier, isn't it? You know, working hard and giving it everything. But yeah, I mean, take those on board as you see fit, okay, or disregard them. It's completely up to you. If you've been to an assessment centre and you've got any tips that you'd like to add in the comments for anybody else that might be watching this video, then feel free to do so. Naturally, in terms of the tips, I can't give you any tips regards to the fitness side of life, only to practice, for the simple reason that I haven't done mine yet either. But I think, again, you shouldn't really need any top tips for that. If you're doing a beep test, you should know what score you need to achieve, so you go in, you just practice until you hit that score or exceed that score. With a mid-thigh pull, it's if you need 50 kilos, which is what I need, pick up a bar in the gym, that's 50 kilos. If you can lift it up, you're all right, aren't you? And again, with a med ball throw, you might look a bit daft doing that in the gym, but who cares, right? Because it's a test that you're gonna have to pass. So if you've got any comments, anything you'd like to add, stick it in the comment section below. Like the video, share it around, let me know what you think. and I'll see you guys on the next one, where I'll probably break down the technical selections test in a little bit more detail, just to give you a little, just if you are going for it and you may have seen the things I've seen and you're worried, then hopefully I can put your mind at ease, okay, and just go through what you can expect. All right, so that's going to be next time. All right, but thanks as always for watching. You've been awesome. I've been about average. If your assessment centre date is fast approaching, best of luck for that. I hope you smash it. I'm sure you will. Until next time, toodle pip.